The last thing that I do want to touch on is just a little bit of nutrition stuff. So I didn't put this into a presentation, but I do have it in my nutrition manual here. So before I get into that, does anybody have comments, questions, feedback, snide remarks?
Ooh, one thing about that sprinting section is make sure you're properly warmed up before you do sprints, because pulled muscles are a real thing and sprints just bring the worst out of it.
They really do, man. I'm telling you, like anytime we do running sprints, I'm just so paranoid about pulling a hamstring or something because it's happened so many freaking times. You're absolutely right. That's why I'm saying, a couple of things that are, it's like some caveats, right? We're going through some basics here, and a lot of us, like, the only way that we have to learn is to do it on our own and watch some videos or read a book or something like that. I mean, that's how I learned most of my life until I came here. And luckily, I mean, I was doing all kinds of stuff wrong. So it does help to have a coach to make sure that you understand how to do this stuff. And with the sprints, especially, I mean, not just the warm up, right? Just learning how to run properly, learning how to push it on a bike or a rowing machine. You can freaking break yourself if you don't know how to do that stuff right. But yeah, thanks, Chandler. All right. So just a couple of things around nutrition. Okay. First of all, we're big believers in fasted training. And when we say fasted, that doesn't mean that you don't have absolutely nothing that you can consume before a workout. What we're saying is that what's ideal is that your body understands and learns how to create energy on its own, especially in a self-induced emergency situation. The body can create energy internally from a lot of different sources, and we want to nurture and facilitate its ability to do that because it's going to make us more resilient, and it's also going to lead to all the health benefits and the body composition benefits that we want. So when I say fasted training, what I mean is, like, we don't want, ideally, now a lot of people, there's a transitional step that happens here. I have a lot of clients that I work with, and they're just not ready for fasted training in the beginning, but they have it in the back of their mind. It's something they need to kind of experiment with. But if I eat food before going into a workout, then my body is getting energy from food. And what I want is for my body to learn how to get energy on its own, right? Whether it's getting energy from glycogen at the muscle side, or if it's getting energy from glycogen in the liver, or if it's getting energy from body fat stores. And really what's happening during a workout is a combination of all those things, depending on the intensity and the duration and what's happening, right? But again, if I'm eating before a workout, then I'm giving my body food-based energy. If I'm eating before a workout, then I'm also asking my body to digest food and at the same time do this thing, the self-induced emergency. And so it kind of becomes inefficient at both of them. There is a little bit of a transitional adaptation period that happens with this. Most of my clients go through it. Most people I work with go through it. But that's ideally what we want to get to. Okay. Pre-workout supplementation, I am always experimenting with a bunch of different things. So ideally, I would say avoid things that are kind of caloric based. But if you want to experiment with non-nutritive things that help with oxygenation and vasodilation, a little bit of caffeine is totally fine. I almost put what I do in here right now, but that changes so often because I'm always experimenting. But right now, what I take some arginine, I take some NAC, some glutathione for respiration. I take this product called Organic 15. I do a low dose caffeine pill. I think that's it. It's a little handful of stuff, but it's non-nutritive based, right? And theoretically, it helps with blood flow and oxygenation, and then the caffeine just gives me just a little bit of a perk, right? It's not like having a strong cup of coffee. I think it's what did I say, Kara, the other day? It's like 50 milligrams with some L-theanine or something like that. So pre-workout, totally cool to have some things that enhance performance. I would definitely stay away from those NO Explodes and Jack 3Ds and stuff that a lot of us probably grew up on. I don't even know if I could handle taking something like that before doing some of these workouts that we do in here. But now intra-workout nutrition, it just depends on how long the activity is and how metabolically flexible and fat adapted you are. So I can do Charleston Peak, 20 miles, brutal. I can do it completely fasted with nothing but water. I probably couldn't have done that 6 or 7 years ago as I was, kind of making my way a few years into this journey. So it's something that I feel like if you're, depending on how long the activity is, if it's less than 3 hours in duration, minimal intra-workout considerations are necessary. But again, that depends on how far down the path you are. I would always be prepared with something just in case. But once you get over to 3 hours, then it might be beneficial to do something, like I remember we used to do CrossFit competitions a lot. That was an all day thing. We do a workout. We'd go and have a little bit of some easy to digest. What do we call it? We call it yam yolks. We had sweet potatoes mixed with some egg yolks and a little bit of coconut oil, some salt, some honey to do a little bit of glycogen replenishment. But that's because we had multiple workouts that we were doing throughout the day, and we were pushing the limits at every one of those workouts. So if you got something that's going to last more than 3 hours, just being prepared and maybe just having an attitude. I got a cyclist guy that I'm working with right now. He carries a little backpack, little pouch, some things, and he just tries to push the boundary a little bit. And when he feels like he needs something, he'll have something. We've been trying the SHT freeze-dried meals, and he absolutely loves it because they're lightweight, but also they're pre-cooked and easy to digest, so, and they're balanced too. They got a little bit of starch and some protein and some fats and stuff. Some other things to consider, we got some examples here. Bone stock with some collagen and butter would be great for intra workouts. If you have one of those longer duration things, Epic meat bars, the beef jerky, the meat sticks, a really good little mix. You know how a lot of endurance athletes used to use those goo packets. You can make your own goo with some butter and some honey and salt. Tastes amazing. I mean, I could eat that like a dessert, but bacon and avocados, scrambled eggs and butter, some hard-boiled eggs are great. Some nut butters are awesome. Nut butters with coconut oil is really great. A little bit of salt, a little bit of honey. And then the yam yolk was the recipe we came up with when we were back doing competitions a lot. So, and basically you're just mashing up a bunch of pre-cooked yams with some egg yolks, a little bit of coconut oil, a little bit of honey and salt. So that's some consideration for intra workout. And then when it comes to post workout, we get the question all the time. Do I have to, am I missing something? I remember, back in the day before I learned all this stuff, after I worked out, if I didn't have anything, man, I'd be racing around looking for a gas station that had a muscle milk or something, because I felt like everything was going to fall apart if I didn't have my little post workout shake. Right. And then I got into this world and I did this experiment where I didn't do that. And guess what happened? Nothing happened. Nothing ever happened. Like, I spent years racing around for this frantic 30-minute window post-workout deal, and it wasn't even necessary. So what we usually recommend is that you eat when hunger naturally ensues naturally. Sorry, to keep with the, what do you call that? Whatever, abbreviation. But there's definitely benefits, when you get done working out, especially if it's relatively intense, you are a little bit more insulin receptive or nutrient receptive. Okay. Which means that if you consume something after your workout, then your body's going to do something with it a little bit faster, a little bit more efficiently than if you hadn't just worked out. So there is a little bit of truth to that. Right. But there's also plenty of research now that shows that fasting post-workout can be as beneficial or more beneficial, because when you fast post-workout, your body has this chance to clear excess glucose from the system because you just had yourself all ramped up and tapping into glycogen stores. It also, because it's very receptive to nutrients, it actually goes through and starts to clear up damaged proteins from the system. So it's almost like you give the body this ability to kind of heal itself a little bit different, a little bit better if you fast post-workout, and you're enhancing fat metabolism, which is really cool. So the bottom line is it's just a wash. Like I would say, do whatever you want. I think it's most beneficial to relatively fast post-workout, but what I've been doing lately is I'll have a cup of bone stock and maybe a raw egg yolk or something like that. Which I think is relatively minimal, and it's a way for me to get my stock in every day and just remember to get my stock. But I truly think it's a wash. It doesn't matter. But I guess the big takeaway here is you do not have to race around forcing this little 30-minute window, because there's benefits to not doing that. Okay.